Ahoy and welcome to Riftbound Nexus Nights. I'll be your host, Captain Dad, and today we have Lee Sin versus Kaisa. Getting things started off, we've got Monastery of Hirana coming out for Lee Sin and Candlelight Sanctum coming out for Kaisa. And Kaisa player gets to go first. I know that glare is a little bit rough, but hopefully with this overlay you should be able to see things a little bit clearer. Playing Lee Sin on the left versus my friend Gregamesh, playing Kaisa on the right. And we're going to go ahead and get this started. Play one, Pit Rookie. Throw in the buff on with the extra mana from the Lee Sin Legend ability. Passing back to Greg. And Greg just built this deck literally about 2 minutes before we started playing this match, so not very much pilot experience on this one, but I do give him a big congratulations on getting it together and in time before the tournament started. For his first play, Ari Inquisitive coming down to the base. And with that, we'll pass it back. After a couple of channeled energies, drawing the card. Looks like we got Monastery of Hirana out here for Lee Sin, Candlelight Sanctum out here for Kaisa. Moving the Pit Rookie into the Monastery, and on Conquer, choosing to spend the buff to draw an extra card from that ability trigger from the battlefield. And with that, we'll go up 1-0. And Sunlit Guardian back to the base. Passing it back to Greg. I think that's one of my favorite things about this game when it first came out was that there were so many different builds and so many brews that made the game very exciting. Every time, every game, every store was a different experience. There was so much variety in set 1. It was really awesome to play. I hope we get that same feeling with set 2. Moving Ari into the Candlelight Sanctum, scoring a Conquer point, going up 1. Looks like Gregamesh is going to finish his turn by playing an Iron Ballista. Coming down to the base. Does come in exhausted. Otherwise, he'd be able to hit that Pit Rookie on the Monastery. But thankfully, it's a little bit balanced, more so than a lot of the other cards in Kaisa's deck. Looking at you, Falling Star. Hextech Ray coming down, targeting the Pit Rookie on the Monastery. And before it resolves, looks like we got a little interaction here. We will play the Discipline, buff that Pit Rookie up to 4, allowing him to survive with 1 point of damage. And with that, Greg will finish his turn. After we awaken everything, we'll score the point. Captain Dad going up to 2 points here off the Monastery Hirana hold. Looks like we'll move the Pit Rookie back and retreat, try to save her now that we've got an active threat in the Iron Ballista. And we'll move the champion unit in from the zone to the base. Lee Sin, green, aesthetic. Gives him shield. Tap himself to give himself a buff. And he also has as many buffs as he wants. No limit on buffs. Passing back to Greg. He's going to go ahead and open up. Score a point off of that hold. And let's see here. Looks like we got a Vi in hand about ready to come down. And yes, Vi down, playing her straight to the battlefield, right directly onto Candlelight. Passing back to Captain Dad here. Nothing on the battlefield to score this time. And we're going to go ahead and start this turn off, adding a buff to the Lee Sin. That'll put him up to 2 active buffs now, effectively putting him at 7 might. Looks like I'm doing a little bit of math here, trying to decide if I can attack in on this Candlelight. Got 7 with Lee Sin, 6 might represented on the battlefield. And let's not forget that Ahri's ability there is going to drop 2 on the might from Lee Sin. And with that priority, I think that will allow me to play a spell here. And we will see if we can interact with this to make this a little bit more favorable for me. All right, discipline number 2 comes down. Give a unit +2, draw a card. That should put him back up to 7 versus 6 might represented on Greg's side of the board. As long as he doesn't have any interaction here, it should be a win for the Lee Sin here. And unfortunately for Greg, no tricks up the sleeve this time. Lee Sin conquers the battlefield, goes up to 3 points, 3-2 it looks like. So as we get about halfway through this first game here, I want to thank you all for joining me. This has been a little passion project I've been trying to get started here for the last month or two, and I've actually been sick for the last month straight, trying to take care of my baby, bouncing between my families, and just haven't been able to beat this cough and this respiratory illness. So I'm finally thankful to be back normal and ready to do this. I've got about 7 or 8 more of these videos I want to get out over the next week, so we'll see how well I can get them edited and casted. All right, looks like I did move the Sunlit Guardian up into the other battlefield. Scored the point up to 4 in the meantime there during that conversation. Kaisa comes out from the champion zone, back to the base. Don't mind those body runes. We were unable to find enough chaos runes at the beginning of the day here as he was building his deck, so those are red runes for all intents and purposes. And it looks like he's going to try to play with some Iron Ballista interaction here, targeting Lee Sin, ability on the stack. And while it's on the stack, we're going to do Unyielding Spirit in response. Prevent all spell and ability damage this turn, effectively negating the Iron Ballista and anything else that he might try to play. I believe, thinking back on this now, seeing a Kaisa accelerated made me kind of scared that he was going to try to blast him, so I figured I would preemptively play that Unyielding Spirit, although it was a little bit unnecessary, I think. Best part about looking at film footage is you gotta look back and learn from your mistakes. See how you can play better and see where you've messed up on your misplays. Or how you get lucky and somebody misplays against you. Looks like we're gonna start this buff train up on Lee Sin. We're gonna exhaust him for his own ability to add a buff. And Leader Legend ability on the Sunlit to add a buff. And after we scored that point from the beginning of turn, we're going to move the Sunlit back to the base. Try to keep him protected since we're up to 6 now. Having a Lee Sin with over 7 might is definitely a comfortable feeling. Sabotage played by Captain Dad here. Choose an opponent, they reveal their hand, choose a non-unit card from it, and recycle that card. Choosing Disintegrate, direct damage. Let's go ahead and try to keep our guys alive. And we have Greg admiring the sabotage. It is a good card. Looks like we got Lee Sin number 2 down on the base. I think the only thing better than 1 Lee Sin is 2. Passing it back to Gregamesh. We're gonna see if he can do anything to even out the board and equalize this pressure. Looks like we got a Void Seeker on the draw. Not looking super good for my brother Gregamesh over here. Moving Kaisa up over into the monastery. We will conquer. Draw a card off the trigger for the Kaisa. And counting up 4, 5, 6 mana. The leader pilot, lead legend ability, recycling 1 and recycling a second one. So yeah, it looks like he does want to double cast Void Seeker. It is an action speed spell, therefore you have to wait for 1 to resolve before the second one can be cast. That's what's being explained here on the video, it looks like. So first one does go through, hits the Lee Sin from 8 might down to 4. Trying to follow it up with a second one here to clean him up. And I don't like that idea, so in response, looks like we'll play On Guard. Give a friendly unit +1 this turn, then additional +1 might this turn if it is the only unit you control there. Looks like both of these should resolve. And then after that resolution, it looks like Greg is going to go ahead and cast an Iron Ballista trigger. Ability trigger, rather, not a cast. And upon that trigger, he would kill Lee Sin, so I respond with Stand United. Hidden card there. Buff a friendly unit, then buffs give an additional +1. Putting him up to 9 with buffs, plus an additional 4 with the spell. So that should be plenty enough to keep him alive. Passing the turn back after that interaction. And we're going to go up to 7 points here. 1 final point. Now looking at the math here, and obviously being able to see that Greg doesn't have anything in his hand too much, I believe that the correct play actually would have been to try to conquer for the win. Instead, looks like we're going to move everything up here to the battlefield. Double Lee Sin, Sunlit, Pit Rookie. Throwing in an Udyr for good measure. I think that'll be it. You bet. Good game, Greg. Let's go to game 2. And we are back here, game 2. Captain Dad versus Gregamesh. And getting started, Gregamesh decided to play second with his turn. And putting a lot of pressure on me. I originally built this deck, this Lee Sin, to go second. So, not a lot of 2-drops, as many as other deck lists play. this deck was revamped over the first month or two as we got cards and could find more spells, more abilities, more units and such. So you'll see this deck transition as we gain better cards. Vi coming down for Gregamesh early on his turn 1. And passing it back to Captain Dad. Looks like we're going to get that Pit Rookie a turn 2 late. Throw that 3rd energy. Make sure we get the buff from the Legend. Passing it back to Greg over here. This is actually the second time I got to play Greg in this a Nexus Night event. I played him a couple of days earlier and he was playing Victor. And he had just popped that right out of the pre-con box, as I had just pulled out my Lee Sin pre-con, so it was a little bit more fair, I believe. After a few days of building and collecting and trading, I was able to get something I felt a little bit more competitive going. Vi comes into the Grove of the God Willow, scoring a point. Energy Conduit back at the base. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to give a big shout out to Game-O-Storus. That's the location that we're playing here. Thank you for hosting this event, Game-O-Storus. Appreciate all the guys that are here and all the work that you guys are doing for us. Getting these tournaments set up for this first week has been a process, as everybody's been learning how to play the game. So big shout out to that, Game-O-Storus. Thank you for having us, and look forward to continuing to play here in the future. All right, little banter going on here, little downtime. I think my favorite part about this game has just been the social aspect. Not just playing, I love the strategy, I love the math, but it's been such a pleasure getting to play with you guys, all the new players, and meeting all these new friends out here. I've started a Riftbound Discord community server as well, so if that's your thing, there's a link in the description below. Feel free to join us. Lee Sin coming in from the champion zone. And using the last energy, throw a buff. Pit Rookie comes into the Dreaming Tree. Score 1-1. Passing back to Greg. His hold, put him up to 2. Looks like he's going to get an extra draw card trigger as well off that battlefield. Probably one of the best battlefields you can play if you have enough early creatures and an early aggressive strategy start. If you get to go first, it's one of the best battlefields, I think, for sure. Using the Energy Conduit, he's going to play the Void Seeker, using his Legend ability to pay the power. Pit Rookie is gone. Using the rest of his 4 energy, it looks like he's going to bring Kaisa into the base, get her set up for next turn. Ganking, looks like we're going to try to use the Vi ability. Good job, Greg. Good read. Good read. That's free. No, I mean, minus the crackback and the Lee Sin coming at you. He did tap out, so that would be pretty bad if I cracked him back on that side. Looks like I drew a charm, so no need to actually move in on that battlefield right this second. We could play around with that. Lee Sin coming into the Dreaming Tree. Excuse me, Lee Sin coming into the Grove of the God Willow. And for the rest of the turn, we're going to play Udyr back at the base. No, deciding whether or not we want to play him at the base or we want to play him at the battlefield is the conversation going on right now, actually. After Greg looks at the card and reads it, we're going to go ahead and play him directly up to the battlefield. Yeah, you bet. I'll put him on the Grove of the God Willow, try to get that hold, little card advantage. And we're going to hold that last remaining energy open for a little interaction, just in case. Awakening, and we're going to give Greg a point there, going up to 4 for his hold on the Dreaming Tree. Looks like Void Seeker coming out, targeting Lee Sin. Yeah, double checking. And for the interaction, 1 mana, pay a power, 1 green. We're going to defy, counter the spell that costs no more than 4 and no more than 1 power. See if we can keep him safe a turn. Using 4 energy, exhausting here. Playing Raging Soul. Unit. If you've discarded a card this turn, I have Assault and Ganking. Looks like he's just trying to reinforce that battlefield up there to try to hold his point lead. Yeah, putting that Raging Soul up there will allow him to hold on to that battlefield. Udyr does get ganking if you buff him and spend that buff. So his 6 would be beat by the 7 represented currently. He's probably going to end up staying there. No ganking over. Unless we get a little bit different interaction. And a second charm drawn this turn, it looks like. Leading the turn off with Sabotage. The more information you have, the better decisions you can make. Only running 1 of in this Lee Sin deck, but I do find it very valuable to help out in this later end of the game to know if I should be holding or not. Choosing the Stupefy, handing back Greg his hand. Now that we know this is pretty free, we're going to go ahead and take advantage of this board state, I think. And getting this thing started off, we're going to charm the Raging Soul into the Grove of the God Willow. The Lee Sin, represented with 7 might, 8 on defense with shield. No interaction, unfortunately, for Greg here, so he's just going to have to move to the grave. Legend ability. And readying him is the same thing, I guess, as ganking him over. Probably unnecessary move, but move that up. Goes to 4/4 on that Conquer. And we're going to go ahead and add another buff with Lee Sin's hero ability, his champion ability. And we're going to go ahead and get that second charm. Charm the Kaisa up into Lee Sin there. Again, no interaction is going to leave that pretty feels bad, man. And passing back to Greg. Now that is a body rune there. We were not able to find enough chaos runes when we started this game. Again, he had just built this, so as the game was brand new, even finding energy in runes was very difficult to do. Deciding what he's going to do this turn. Let's see what we got here. Fortunately for me, I don't believe Greg has any Thousand Tail Watchers, so playing a Blast Cone Fae to his base. Not much else he can do. It looks like he's going to be fizzled out, unfortunately. No more creatures. No more units. Beginning a turn, we're going to go ahead and move up to 6 points. Draw for Grove of the God Willow. And draw for the beginning of turn. I'm going to go ahead and buff up the Lee up to 9. And for 2 energy, recycling 1 orange power. Looks like we'll challenge. Yep, clean up the board. I think that is going to probably do it for this match. Greg, thank you so much for playing with me, man. It was a pleasure. It's been great getting to know you and to be able to call you a friend now. And I can't wait to play again in the future, Brother Bear. Finishing it out like a good sport, he's going to play the Hextech Ray. Target the first mate. And unfortunately, no accelerated units, no Thousand Tail Watcher. Not much he's going to be able to do here to affect this game state, it looks like. Dangerous Duo comes down to the battlefield. Comes down to the base. And with that, passing back. Scoring up to 8. All right, GG's, Gregamesh. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if Riftbound is your kind of thing, feel free to drop a subscription, maybe a comment or a like below. Plan to get these videos released a little bit more consistent now that the new year started. Look forward to seeing you next time.